the temperature. What is that? 86? 86 degrees. Where am I at? I'm in a little cabin that has a wood stove, a tiny wood stove. This is the Atlanta Stove Works Franklin number 118. The only reason I'm making this video at all is because I've had so much difficulty finding any information about this. So I did a tremendous amount of research before I installed that. Crazy story about how I ended up with it. Working as a paramedic, I had to go work on an individual, and then later on, he had a relative that contacted me and said that she wanted to give me this stove. So I said, sure. And I finally installed it in the last week. And you see the metal on the walls. It's the standard. You'll see some videos where they talk about there's an inch of space behind this, the metal. It works like a charm. It's amazing. Look, I put my hand on here. It's cool to the touch. It's not, I mean, and this stove's been on all day long. So works great. I probably will actually add a mat out in front of this. It's a little bit more heat resistant. I definitely recommend, which I will take this, and I'm going to close this damper, okay? And I'm going to limit tremendously the amount of oxygen getting to that fire. And that is the main way that you control. Now, there's an air gap here, and there's an air gap here. Just a little. And actually up in the top here as well. This thing is pretty well, for all intents and purposes, is airtight. You can see some little flashes of light. Now, things I had to do additionally. One of the ears of this corner was broken off. So I had a friend repair that who actually knows how to weld cast iron. And then when I reinstalled this piece, I put the rope and gasket on here. This has a gasket around it. Make sure you have the screws. I installed the damper in this stovepipe. Probably the best thing. You want to make sure you do that. You can see I'm in the correct burn zone here. The stovepipe, this is single wall stovepipe. I had an articulating elbow here. I didn't like that. I was working on it and it came apart, and I was like, oh yeah, that's not happening. So this is solid one piece. This goes into the Dura Plus through the wall triple wall pipe. So starting right there, that is triple wall, and it goes out and goes up. And the stovepipe up above goes 2 feet above the roof line. And this is just a little 11 by 16 little cabin. So far, I'm extremely pleased with the performance of this. If I choke this thing down as much as it will go, it will stay 70 to 80 degrees in here 24 hours. Only a few metal items back here close to the stove. These can heat up. It's not going to cause a problem at all. You can touch that metal wall. Not a problem at all if you touch it. It is at least an inch. And really, that back wall, I made sure it was more than an inch. From the back of the stove to that is going to be 18 inches. Over here, 18 inches. Like I said, I probably need to add a heat mat, heat proof, something fireproof right here. I'm a paramedic by trade, so I've been to a lot of house fires. I'm very, very conscious of any damage that fire can do. I mean, especially in a building. This is pine. This is pine. You want to make sure this is not an issue at all. You would not want unregulated air passing through that and making this thing as hot as it'll go. You want to restrict the airflow and have a slow controlled burn so that stove does not overheat. As a matter of fact, the instructions of the stove, which still exists, right? It was 1987 that Atlanta Stove Works actually went out of business, and which was about 100 years after they started. It tells you specifically in the instructions, do not run this stove without this piece in place, which you can take that piece straight off. Thing I'm most worried about, honestly, is these two plates. If I ever drop them and break them, I don't know how I would replace them. If anybody ever sees this and knows a source of where I can get new plates, new lids for the top of this, or any other parts for this particular stove, which is the Atlanta Stove Works Franklin number 118, I would definitely be interested in hearing about that. So I just thought somebody might be interested in looking at how I installed this. I just used, these are pavers that I got from Home Depot, and I put them down with concrete. Beneath it, there is a cement board. I pretty well followed every standard that I read about. That is, the gap from there to there is about 19 inches. Honestly, that rope light is, it has a bunch of settings on it, but I honestly really only intended for that to be, let me see if I can set it where I really wanted it at, was with, which you can change it out. It's not actually blinking at all right now. It's steady. I will, let me turn the lights out in here. So this is basically the way I keep it. And it was really just, when COVID came around, working as a paramedic, I needed a little quarantine building, and that was why I originally built this room. So that I could quarantine my away from my family. And you can see there is no restroom facilities in here. There is a little bucket toilet that you can get. It's like a camping toilet, and that would suffice if you had to isolate someone in here. There is a Coleman canteen. It's what is that, like a 5-gallon canteen in here. You can get water from that. The shelves, I actually built the shelves based on shelves I saw that the Seabees built when I was in Iraq. And it's the only difference is I put it on rollers so I can move it around. The flooring in here is life proof. The color is fresh oak, and I highly recommend that. Now, the way I did the floor was I put the fresh oak laminate down, then I put the cement board on top of it, then I put the mortar and the pavers. These are 16 by 16 inch pavers on top of it. And this is fireproof. You could put fire directly on it. It's not going to hurt anything. Other item I'm definitely going to add to this room is I have an ash pail and a shovel, but you absolutely want to have a fire extinguisher. Anytime you have fire, make sure there's a fire extinguisher nearby. Right now, I basically only have a bucket of water to deal with this, but I am going to go buy a top-of-the-line fire extinguisher to install in this little cabin. It's just separate from my home. It's just in case someone needs a place to stay. That's the only reason I really built this up. Now, like I said, it started as a little COVID quarantine shelter. It was originally a storage building. And, but just recently I was like, what if somebody is homeless and needs someplace to stay? And I was a big fan of summer camp. And I was in the Boy Scouts and I did all that kind of stuff. So you see, there's a lot of camping type stuff. That's a Dutch oven back there. You could cook directly on top of this if you wanted to. But also in this little cabin, there is a mini refrigerator, a microwave oven, an air conditioner. It's just a little small, probably the cheapest air conditioner you can buy from Walmart. And I think it was about $150. Works great though in the summertime. When I installed the walls in here, which is just plywood, there's R19 in the walls and the ceiling. Like I said, I was a big summer camp fan, and I kind of missed that. So I was nostalgic for like Boy Scout summer camp or whatever. So this is just a cot. Plus I was in the military. And so there's a sleeping bag, pillow. You can sleep in here. I have tested it out. There's a lamp with an LED light bulb in it. So it pulls very, very minimal wattage. I had an actual electrician do the electrical work in here. You definitely always want to do that. I have some other camping items and stuff in here. The little buddy stove is kind of a backup. You want to make sure that is away from fire. You want to make sure you've got good ventilation in this building. And I'll probably, any of these fuel tanks, I'm actually planning on pulling all the fuel tanks out of this building and putting them into another storage building that I have. Dog bed, because I have several dogs. Anyway, that's just a little video. Oh, check this out. I haven't said anything about that. This is a, gosh, that is, it's an 1890s Treadle sewing machine, and it actually works. It completely works. It's got, you can even see, let me move this out of the way. You lift this up, and there's the sewing machine beneath it. As a matter of fact, let me try it. It's got a book that came with it. Obviously, it can't come all the way up, but there it is. It's an actual functioning Treadle sewing machine, and there's the leather strap that goes around it, and you pump the pedal, and that makes the needle go up and down. So a friend gave this to me. I thought it was a pretty neat item, and I'm definitely not going to get rid of it. Look, he gave me a book that goes with it. And anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and close that. Probably need to put a coat of varnish on top of that as well. Anyway, that's the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. The main reason I made this video was just to feature the Franklin, the Atlanta Stove Works Franklin number 118 stove. Fully functional, does a great job. Extremely warm in here right now, probably a little too much. I had to back the air down. Probably what I can do is just open the door and let some of this heat out, but I can back it down where it's operational, and it can keep the temperature in the 70s, which is great in the middle of winter. And very easy to do in this little cabin, though. I hope you enjoyed this video, and that's going to be the end of it.